All right, what's up? I'm your man, Big Jack, and welcome to the Iron Sharpening Iron Show. This is where we prove we are stronger together, that if each one would reach one, we can all grow and glow. And I'm super excited. I mean, super excited. Not only because of another opportunity to be in front of you and to be able to talk to you and share with you, but we just celebrated a day that I take a big honor in, and that's Veterans Day. And being a veteran from the U.S. Army, number one, of course, number one, I just wanted to make sure that I recognize each and every person who have served and who are currently serving. And then one thing I wanted to say, because I've heard a lot of people mention that there's the Veterans Day is a sad day for them, and they don't really want to get into it. But they set aside 3 different days for the military, for definitely for the soldiers, and one of them is Veterans Day. So we know we have Veterans Day, and if you go to Trivia Time with Big Jack, I actually had a trivia question about Veterans Day. Then the other one is Memorial Day. So that day has been set aside for those who served their country and lost their life serving their country. And then there's Armed Service Day. So there's a day set aside for those who are actually serving their country. So just knowing that those are days that have been set aside. Now you can be in all categories at the same time, in a sense, because once you start serving, you become a veteran. And unfortunately, Memorial Day, we're celebrating those who served their country, and we're celebrating them because they gave their life, unfortunately, but they gave it for our freedom. So we thank each and every person out there that put the uniform on. And there's another thing that a lot of people don't catch. Those who stay behind, those who are supporting the troops, those who are sending the letters and the care packages and all of that, you too are serving your country in ways you just don't know. And I thank you as well. So those who are, like I say, even though you never put on a uniform, never watched walked down a battlefield or shot a weapon at any kind, but at the same time, that letter, that care package, that phone call means a lot to all of those soldiers out there. So again, thank you for what you do. And thank you for each and every soldier out there, men, women, it doesn't matter, for your service. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We got a wonderful show. Don't want to hold it up anymore. Get my man up on the stage so we can get going. So let's get him up on the stage. Oh, there he is. Walt Talks. What's up, bro?
My man, what's happening, Big Jack? How you doing, sir?
Hey, it's all good. It's all good, man. It's another beautiful day. I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
say that.
yeah.
I would say that. But you know what? Let me tell you what happened today. My my
Uh-oh.
my my my, my fur baby got kicked out of daycare.
Oh boy. Come on, man. A lab? You have a lab.
I got a lab, and they like, she's a little rough and a little like, come on, man. You can't look. It's
You
you.
serious?
It's you. It's the person, because she was being a little aggressive. They say so. They say she's not welcome back. So now I got to find a new place for my fur baby. So, but it's a lab. I'm like,
How
holy
old
cow.
is she?
She's three
That's the
years
only
old.
type of dogs I've had is labs, man. I've
Yeah.
never had an aggressive. So she's 3. How old? You have 2 though, correct?
Yeah, they're sisters. So we got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and
And the
they're sisters.
3-year-old got
So
kicked out.
the 3-year-old got kicked out. She is so mild, man. I mean, it's like hard to believe that they said that she.
Mm.
If you'd have said that 1-year-old, I'd have been like, all right, but
Hey, Jack, man. That's the excuse I used to give my parents until they showed up in my class and looked through the door before before I realized they were watching me. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
was mild mannered too, right up until I got caught being the class clown and the troublemaker. So yeah. Hey
yeah.
man, so then you got to go to another place,
Yeah, we gotta find
another.
another daycare for her, but it's okay. There's a couple of them in our area, so we'll do that. It's just the fact that because we both work 9 to 5s, me and my wife, and
Yeah,
so we don't want to leave her home by herself all
right.
day
Absolutely
or
not.
anything like that.
Absolutely not.
So we have daycare, but it's just out of
Wow.
all of so all of you out there who have fur babies, and have a story very similar to this, let us know. Put it in the chat, put it in the comment section, so we'll know. If your fur baby
Wow.
ever got kicked out of daycare. 'Cause look, I'm sitting there trying to get my teenager through high school, then my dang.
Yeah, man. Hey, man. Hey, bro. Man. and especially knowing the Jackson family, I can't see an aggressive dog coming out of there, man. So
Nah,
that's
only time you even know that she's a dog is when the doorbell rings and then she wants to bark.
yeah,
Other than that, she is about as chill as she can be. But you
yeah,
know, it
something
is what
else
it is.
going on, man. But
But
hey,
bro,
man, yeah. Let me salute you and all the veterans, and all the families of veterans. Which my father was in the military; he was in the Marine Corps, but
mm,
I am not a veteran. So, hey, man, I respect the sacrifice and the sacrifices rather that you guys, and ladies and gentlemen, I'll just say guys generically, but you ladies and gentlemen have made, and that's not an easy task, man. And
mm,
I think we are finding out that even being military is not the safe, good government guaranteed job that we used to
no,
that we knew it as, you know. So,
right.
hey, man, I salute you guys for that. So, hey, man, it's gonna be a great show, I'm sure. But I just wanted to make sure I told you that because I did not call you yesterday. I'm just your trifling friend who did not wish you happy Veterans Day yesterday,
It's all good,
and,
bro.
blame it on my head and not my heart, man. But there it is. So publicly,
Well,
there it is.
I appreciate it and I thank you. And we do have a wonderful show. We got a awesome guest is getting ready to come up on our stage, and I don't even want to hold back
Yes,
anymore. So
yes.
if we can do that, let's get her
Let's
up on
get
the
it.
stage so we can get started. You ready?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Go to work.
I'm
All right.
excited.
All right. All right. Melissa
Hey,
Black, how you doing?
Hi.
hey,
Hey,
Melissa.
welcome to the Iron Sharpening Iron Show. I'm Big Jack StoryTime, and that's my man Walt Talks over there. And
Okay.
I'm just going to give you a quick breakdown. We are live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Twitch. And we will make copies of this and put it on TikTok and Instagram as far as clips of this show. So we thank you for being a guest on the Iron Sharpening Iron Show.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and I'm just looking forward to having a robust and interpersonal conversation with the both of y'all and our guests. So,
All
thank
right,
you.
all right, all right. Thank you, thank you.
Absolutely.
She said robust.
She said robust. She did say robust.
She
She
said
did say
robust.
robust. She said it. I
Uh-oh.
heard her say it.
Yeah. She said it. She said it. All
I
right.
heard her
So,
say it.
Melissa, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself and who are
Okay.
you? Who's Melissa?
Okay. Well, Melissa Black. I am a native New Yorker. I'm originally from the Bronx, raised in Queens. I went to high school in Brooklyn, one of the best high schools in the country, Brooklyn Technical High School. Shout out. Um, I was in a very rebellious mood when the Navy recruiter was up at our school. I mean, I had good grades, and I'm the youngest of 11. All of my 10 siblings went to college. My mother had a master's degree. So the plan was for me to go to college originally. I decided to be a little bit rebellious and do something different and stand out from my 10 siblings. And I got the recruiter to come to the house to talk to my mom. And my mom said in front of him, you can go to college and then go in the military. And I'm like, no, I want to go into the Navy. And then right before when graduation came, I got cold feet and I tried to get out of it. And my mother brought me to sweatsuits, asked me how many laps was a mile with the high school up the street from our house, and had me running 2.5 miles in the morning, 2.5 miles in the evening for almost 6 solid months. And that's because I had no plan B. And I went into the Navy at 18. Went down to Florida, was where boot camp for the Navy was at the time for the girls, and started my career. I went to California, San Diego for radio minute school. I was in communications and IT. I got stationed in Cuba. I was stationed in Italy, stationed in Spain. I was deployed on a ship. I did 12 and a half years. And there were times, it was good and bad. Mostly good though. And I've been very fortunate, without my mother and my 10 brothers and sisters, I would not be who I am today. That was the baseline of who I am. And then I had a lot of good mentors when I was in the military as well. So I've been very fortunate. I worked hard. I was a shift worker, worked, long hours, but with the work was important, and we had a lot of people that serving the country. Sometimes you don't realize how hard the work is, but you just do it because that's a part of what we're responsible for. And
Right.
I've been very fortunate. You know, like I said, I did 12 and a half years in, and I'm very, very grateful of that process.
Yeah. Well, one, I want to say right off the bat, thank you for your service.
And thank you.
100%. I know we're one day after Veterans Day, but thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Normally I would be cracking, but I'm not even going to crack on because
Your army. My boyfriend's army. I know how to
you
army.
got me first.
I always had this convo, but that's okay.
It's all right. It's okay.
It's all right.
You know, y'all are cool, but y'all kind of have your own thing, but that's okay. It's all love. It's all love.
It's all love, 100%. So, you know, we so close to the holiday, I don't even want to crack on, but you know, somebody got to do it. Somebody got to be in the Navy, and you know,
That's
yeah,
right.
it is what it is.
Right.
So yeah. So, but thank you again for it, and I'm amazed at the fact that you said you're the youngest of
11.
You said 11. So you're
Yep.
Wow.
My mom, I mean, she's just was amazing. And she had a master's degree in social work. She ran homeless shelters, battered women's shelters. So being a person of service started from her. You know, I have brothers and sisters who were teachers, educators, and did a lot of different things throughout their lives as well. So I had a lot of great examples, and I'm just so grateful that I come from the family that I do. Like when I was younger, I probably didn't appreciate it as much because I was the baby.
Right. I was about to ask you, where did you fall in the rotation? You were the baby. Okay.
Baby.
Okay.
Like if my mother told me something, there would be 10 other opinions as to why I should do it a certain way, what happened to this person, what happened to that one. So, you know, I had to obviously adjust, but like I said, my family, like they're basically my mother and my 10 brothers, they are the reason why I am who I am. Definitely.
And you saying you're the only one that went into the military? Everybody else went a different route?
Everybody else went straight to college. I mean, because that's how our family, you know, my mom, she had her master's by the time I was 10 years old. So we didn't have any excuses as to why we couldn't go to school. Like some people, like, I'm the first in my family, not us. Everybody was encouraged to go, you know, into whether it was one college or two in some cases, but for the most part, everybody was encouraged to go to school into their respective areas of expertise or what they wanted to do. So that's why when my mom asked me in front of the recruiter that I should go in, and I was like, no, I want to go in the Navy. And then when I changed up, she's like, you had a plan B. I gave you a plan B, but you didn't do it. So now you're going in. Because she wasn't interested in it at first, but me and the recruiter kind of talked around it, and she was like, okay. So when I tried to back out of it, she was like, nope, you're gonna be running every day. Like I said, I was at school up the street from my house called Andrew Jackson. I ran that track, like I said, 10 laps in the morning and 10 in the evening. And I would come home and I would just laugh every time I would pass by that school because I just remember me running with these brightly colored, ugly sweatsuits. So, but that's okay though.
I didn't know that the Navy ran. I didn't.
Wow. Okay.
Oh boy. All
right. Okay. All right. There we go.
No, but you know, you wasn't in yet. You didn't know. You didn't know.
How about that?
Oh my God.
No, for real. Wow. For those who don't know and those who are listening, when you are getting ready to go in, you got to make sure that you need to start working on doing push-ups, start doing sit-ups, start doing pull-ups, start getting that 2-mile run in and all of that. Because even though they'll train you when you get there, it's a whole lot easier if you already have that part of it done. Because it's like if you ever was in college and you went through a pledge to be in a fraternity, that's what basic training is like. It's like getting through. But if you can't get a push-up, if you can't get a sit-up or can't run, they're gonna get you there. But it's just a whole lot of work, you know. It's a whole lot of work.
Trouble my first couple of weeks, so it was a blessing that I was in good shape because I was doing push-ups.
Oh yeah, that's it. See, I upset my drill sergeants when I went in because I had a haircut like Walt when I went in.
I was about to say, they're still going to hit you. They don't like that. They don't like that.
Yeah,
I took away the pleasure of them shaving me, so I took that away, and they dusted me for that.
It's deadly from there. Yeah,
they really got me for having a haircut before I got in. Like, oh, you think you something, ain't you? Probably like, no, I didn't even think about it. Didn't even think about it.
Yeah, they cut out hair. They cut it, and they send home all the money. I mean, my mom and my family got me a whole lot of nice clothes. All of that got sent back to New York. All of it.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah. You
I
come in
did
there
that.
looking all fly. Oh
I
yeah,
did
oh
that.
yeah.
This up in here.
Yeah, I
So,
walked up there with 2 big old suitcases like I'm on vacation.
absolutely.
Like, that was one of the biggest mistakes I ever made, was going in there with all them extra bags. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they give you everything they want you to have. They
That's
say, if we
right.
wanted you to
Absolutely.
have this, we would have issued it to you. So anything you need, they give it to you. So 100%. So we know New York. So,
Yes.
and you talked about some of the countries you've been to with because of the Navy. So what was your job in the Navy? What did you do?
We were called back then. We were called radio men. So radio men. The new name that they have now is information technology specialists. So for us, we did message traffic. We made sure we took care of the communications equipment, because the communications are the backbone of the military. If you don't have that information flowing,
Right.
nobody's getting anything done. So it was very, very important. So different locations, my job would modify slightly. Like when I was in Cuba, I did one aspect of communications. When I was in Italy, I was in NATO, so I was in another aspect of communications. I was at the Pentagon. That was definitely overarching communications. And then, I went to various communication schools, because I would negotiate communication schools, because even though I did not go to college directly when I first went in, I did some college when I was stationed in Cuba. I did college at the Pentagon. I was actually on one of the first distance learning programs on my ship. So I still did some college, because in my family, there was never if I was going to college. It was always a when. So when I got out, my mother was like, I'm glad you had your experience, but you need to finish. So my bachelor's degree, I gave her that tassel because she deserved it. The master's I kept, but it was very clear. I'm glad you had your little time or whatever, but you need to finish. One of my siblings was teasing me. She was like, yeah, we're glad that you're going to college. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? Of course I was going, but because it took a little while. And then when I first got out, I was doing Microsoft and Cisco and things like that. So I didn't go directly, at that time. But once I got into going back to school, I had got all my credits. I got everything, consolidated. And then I just went through my bachelor's and my master's program. And, now I do a bunch of certs all the time, because I love being in IT. IT is very important to me. And even when, in terms of veterans benefits, the fact that I had to educate myself about the process, that's who I am in terms of that. And that's a way that I can help serve other people, because at the end of the day, most people don't know about the different processes. So for me, I had to learn it myself, go through the process. And then once I did, I just started helping other people, because that's naturally something that I would do. So.
Right. All right. So now, and I don't even want to take a pause, but I'm hearing a bell. So it's
Okay.
one of our phones. one of our phones are going off. So,
Okay.
but if it is, I've checked mine 3 times. So if it is,
Me too.
yeah,
Okay.
it's all good. We're good. It's and those who are hearing that bell, it is.
Right.
I can hear it too. So it's like we're not losing our mind over here. Like, and it's not a bell saying time's up. Like we need to move on. So sometimes we just got to silence our devices or whatever. But it's all good. Yeah, no, it's good. Now you're on mute, Melissa. But to get you off mute, yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go.
So now you traveled all over the world. You've been on the ships. I guess you've been in garrison as part of that with the military. You went to college. So did you go to traditional college, or was it all online, or how did it go for you?
Well, some of it was traditional. Like when I was stationed in Cuba, it was City Colleges of Chicago. When I was stationed in Italy, when I was stationed at the Pentagon, it was NOVA, Northern Virginia Community College. And when I was on my ship, I was I was in what you call a distance program, which was online. So it was one of the first online programs that they had on ships at that time. And I was stationed on a civilian ship. So
Civilian ship.
yeah. So basically,
Okay.
like I said, it was one of the first programs that they had. So I just took a couple classes to see how I would do, and I was pretty fortunate. I did pretty well with that. So
Okay.
All right, so you just threw something at me I didn't even know. So what is a civilian ship other
Ship.
than a
Yeah.
cruise like Carnival? I mean, it was like a Carnival.
no,
Oh
there
boy.
are USSs and there are USNSs, which are merchant mariner ships. So for the ship that I was on, we only had about 40 military people on it. So communications
Okay.
is the core of that group, where you have people that are visual communications, electronic technicians, radio men like myself, and signal men, which are like I said, visual, and the rest of the ship is civilian.
So basically, it's run by civilian, but it is part. It's what you call military Sea Lift Command. They have
Okay.
offices in Norfolk, Bayonne, and Washington D.C.
Mm.
So I was stationed on that ship for basically 2.5 years, and we spent a lot of time overseas, like Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Greece, Corfu, Sicily. Italy, of course, again, Spain, of course, again, and a few other places that I had already been stationed at. But I saw them a second, multiple times because I was deployed multiple times over there. I was also deployed in the Caribbean,
Mm.
in
Wow.
Haiti, during the Cuban Haitian crisis in the early to mid '90s. So
Right, got you. Now, here's I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
No,
Because
I got you. I got you.
This is one of the things that got me when I was in, and I've been around the world. I went here and went there. I was in. But they were all deployments.
right.
So after you got out, did you travel to those places again and actually enjoy the place and it's not working, or how did that go for you?
Well, for me, because I was a shift worker, I worked 4 days on, 4 days off when I was in Italy. So I was able to go to Milan. I was able to go to Rome. Rome was actually 2 hours express train, so you could just take a quick play some spades. Next thing you know, you're in Rome. We would
That's
go to Florence. It would be overnight. Florence had like these these places of leather where they had the coats outside, like near the train station. You can kind of almost take your way to them. You had Pisa and stuff like that. You had Milan. And there's another part of Italy called Brindisi, which is on the eastern side of the country. We went there, which also led you to go to Greece in terms of ferries and stuff like that. In Spain, I was on 248, 272, which meant I worked 2 12-hour shifts. I was off 48 hours, and then I worked 2 night shifts, and I was off 72. And I was in Spain. One of the best years to be there which was in '92 when they had the World's Fair and the Olympics. So I'm just so glad that I had that experience there. Like I said back then, I mean, the internet wasn't in it. It was ARPANET and DARPANET. So there's not a whole lot of evidence, but we did enjoy ourselves and have a good time while we were there as well. So, and because I was a shift worker in almost every duty station, I always had time off. So therefore, I was able to travel, get on a train or go to France and stuff like that. When we were in Cuba, we went to Jamaica. We also did some other things while we were down there as well in the Caribbean. So I was pretty fortunate in terms of my schedule. And sometimes being a shift worker was a good thing. Sometimes it was a bad thing because sometimes you're up and your body, your circadian chart is a little bit off. But I still got to see a lot of the countries that I was stationed in while I was there. And it's like I'm 19, 20, 21, a young person. So I was I mean, I visited some countries after I got out, but I had a lot of visitors when I was there. So
no, that's awesome. I mean, it really is. I know. I mean, being Army, when we went somewhere, we never came out of tactical gear. It was about work. Yeah,
that's what y'all do, dirt.
We had to make it safe for all you vacationing Navy people.
We have some of the best ports and some of the best training, along with the Air Force. That's true. But we definitely have some of the best duty stations.
Look, you making it sound good. So all of you out there listening, thinking about going into the military, look all these trips she got to go when she was in the Navy. So that's 100%. All of them are just as valuable as the next one. Each one needs the other one. Even the Marines. So
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I love the Marines. I mean, we the Navy, we partnered with the Marines. So as a matter of fact, I work for a Marine. So I'm happy with it.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. So we gave them the hardest time, but it was all love, because we knew if we needed something, we all helped each other. 100%. 100%. So
Army. Other than that.
So now your military life, you're educated, and you went into the workforce. So did what you learned in the military help you, or was it something that you took in college that directed you? So how did that work for you?
Actually, it's basically the same thing. Like my degrees are basically similar to what my job was. So I just expanded on it when I got out and just got further into it. I did, I was a network engineer, a systems engineer. Then I was managing, at some points in my career as well. And then I went into project management because what would happen is we would get these projects where I worked at in one of my jobs, and the projects weren't right. So I decided I wanted to go to the front of that process to understand how do you do a project from the beginning to the end. And of course, I got more technical because that's my background too. So it was a mixture of both of those, and that's kind of some of what I do right now. I'm in a technical project management role. So to me, it's like when it comes to people don't realize this, but project management, most of you do project management all the time. You just don't realize that that's what it is,
All
and
right.
there's always a process. So the processes are different in different jobs or whatever. But for me, I really enjoy what I do. So I've been in communications basically my entire career.
Mm, okay. No,
Absolutely.
that's pretty cool. I remember again my military days, and what was it called? The OE 254,
Hmm.
the big antenna. So that was one of our first things. As soon as we got to a spot, we had to put that 254 up and get communication. So we needed to know what was going on. So so I remember putting that tower, or it was a long antenna, so you had to make sure you had communications going, and because it was definitely needed. Like I say, you didn't want to be in the middle of a desert and whatever and couldn't reach out and talk to somebody and know everybody know where you was at and what was going on. So I do remember that. So that's pretty cool. So now you're out of the military,
Right.
and I know that you're working towards helping others
Right.
that's maybe out and maybe have some form of disabilities, or it don't even have to be disability. It could be, knowing your benefits, buying a house, getting, education, all of those different things. So what do you do, and what made you or motivated you to start doing that?
Okay. Well, what got me motivated to do that was I knew that I had some health challenges myself.
Mm,
So I was working through the process of educating myself, and one of my best friends had told me to make sure I understood the necessary documentation that is related to me, which would help me be more successful in putting in for my benefits. Because what happens with a lot of people when you're in the military, sometimes you're discouraged not to go to the doctor. So when you get out, sometimes it's a challenge to try to connect it back because you might not have that much evidence.
That's
But in
right.
some cases, you have some evidence, but it's not consistent. So what I always recommend to veterans when I speak to them, first of all, I ask them, did they go to the doctor when they were in? And then if they did, I said, look, if that's the case, then you would need to also go now to connect it. Because just because you have something that happened to you 20 years ago doesn't mean that it's connected now. It doesn't mean that you still have the issue now. So it's important for people to build their case. So I educate people on how to build their case. And as I work with people, everybody's cases are personalized. One person could have 3 issues, another person could have 10 issues. Some of them could be issues where they have a primary issue, and then there's other things connected, which are secondaries. So I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, but I always recommend people go to their doctors and understand what is in their record and try to make sure that when they put in their claims that they remember as much as possible. If they've had physical therapy, if they have medication that shows that the condition has gotten worse, I encourage them to make sure that they have all their documentation lined up. Because the one thing about the VA, just like every other government organization, it's the process. So when you're working the process, the best thing you can do is educate yourself about your situation. And most people, if you're not medical, you're not going to know that this is connected to that. So
mm,
that's why I would recommend that people talk to their doctors and go through their record, get copies of your record. Like in my case, I went through my congressman at the time to get my record, to get it in an expedited manner so that I can truly go through it and make sure everything that I'm claiming is stuff that I can prove. Because there's always primaries that people have, and then sometimes there's secondaries that you don't realize. Like, for example, a person can have a knee injury, but they could be overcompensating with their back and their
Right.
opposite knee. So that meant that one claim or 2 claims could turn into 4, depending on where you have other issues. It could be your spine, it could be it could be a lot of different things. However, you want to make sure that you build your case. So I work with people and I try to help them build their case and make sure that they speak to their doctors, go through their record, and describe their skill. I mean, describe what's going on with them. Because sometimes, like I said, sometimes everything doesn't gel at first, But when you help people build their case, you start talking to them, they'll realize how things are connected. If it's PTSD or other mental health issues, then it doesn't mean you can't work. It just means that you have some issues that you need to deal with. So that's why I try to recommend to people, be honest with yourself. You don't have to tell me all your details, but what you do need to do when you do your claims, make sure that you're paying attention to everything that's going on with your body and how you feel. So, and like I said, for me, I knew what I went through. I knew how I had to fight, and really, and when I say fight, I mean defend in my case. Like sometimes I got denials and I would read what they said in the decision letter, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I know I gave that evidence. So I would think about what the next steps, the next process are, or if it was something that I needed to add more information, then I would add more information to it. And like I said, these processes, they can take a few months per time, but it's worth it in terms of making sure that you're fully documenting everything that's going on with you.
Right. Okay. So now you saying that I'm talking as a veteran now, and I'm talking. Do I need to go through VA to get my information, or is it? I know you say see my doctor,
well,
but I don't.
It depends. If you have your medical records, like I've had friends of mine who had medical records with them, and if you don't have your medical record, you can, depending on when you got out, there's different channels that people have for their records. But the way that I did mine was because I got out a long time ago. I went through my congressman, and my congressman at the time, he worked with the VA, and they got my benefits to me within 2 months. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you might have to go that route, depending on when you got out. I mean, there's people who have their records were burned up in a fire. So that is a challenge because during that time frame, one of the headquarters, I believe it was in Missouri, they had a fire. So in a way, that's a good thing and a bad thing because if the records, if it's not available, they can't deny it. However, it's better that if you have information yourself, you need to make sure you do what you can to provide what you do have.
Right. Wow. Yeah. So now, why you think it's so tough for people to go through the process? So I know I've had a conversation with you prior to being on the show, but it's like I'm hesitant. So what do you believe might be a issue with a person going forth?
Well, some people don't even believe they're worth putting in for the benefits. They don't think it's worth it. They'll go, well, I got out in 1997 or I got out in 2000. And at this point, if you are a veteran and you believe your issues are connected, you can put in till you pass. You know what I mean? You can, and so, but I do understand people's trepidation because you have Vietnam vets that had a hard time getting their veterans benefits, and there's still Vietnam vets right now putting in for benefits. There are also surveys out there that people are 30 to 40% underrated. So a lot of times people get denied once and they don't go back. I got denied once and I didn't go back for a good 10, 15 years myself. So I understand that. But when I realized how my health was still being connected, that's when I was determined to go ahead and put in my claims and, go through my record, make sure I understood all of myself, went through all the processes, and I worked on it. And it took a few years. It wasn't like it was a 1-2 punch. So for me, because I took it on like a part-time job and started educating myself, I can help educate other people at a faster rate than what it was for me, because I literally was going through all these different documents. And I was like, this is ridiculous. But I was like, you know what? Do you want the help or not? And I told myself, yes, I want that help. And I kept pushing myself. And I had, my best friend, she pushed me, my boyfriend pushed me, different people around me were getting their benefits too because of what was happening to them. So because of the circle I was in, that helped to motivate me. So what I do with each person is I explain to them, it's a challenge. It's not necessarily going to be easy, but I can partner with you to help educate you about the process. Because once people start getting in and once they go through that first exam, they'll start to understand it. And if they get like a decision that they like or they don't like, most people will stay in it because now they're starting to figure it out. But it does take a little bit of effort to pull people in as far as getting them to understand you're worth it. If you serve, things happen, you deserve. Just keep it simple. And a lot of times people don't, because like they have their own lives. So they're like, I don't really have time to go to these appointments. It's like, I can understand that. But if you deserve these benefits, then you should go for it because it helps you and your family.
Right,
I tell people all the time, like, if you don't want to do anything else, you want to help and support your family too. So, and it's a lot of different connective tissue. So I spend a lot of time talking to people from a personal level to make sure that they understand that they are worth it. They are worth getting their benefits.
Now I hear that if you get too much, you can't work a regular job. So is it, or is that a myth and I'm missing something?
No, there are 4 types of 100%. 100% one you're talking about is called TDIU, which is individual unemployability. That particular 100% has income limits. So that's the one that you're talking about. But there's another one that's called permanent and total. Permanent and total means the conditions are not going to improve, but that doesn't stop you from getting a job. And there's no income limits on that. There's also a temporary 100%. If you have an issue that you have a surgery at the VA, for example, like I had a surgery at the VA for one of my service-connected issues that we returned. I was 100% for 3 months as I recouped. So that is also a temporary one, but normally that one is, I would say, 4 to 6 months, depending on what happened to you, and what your surgery is. And then there is a fourth 100. There's a fourth surgery. I mean, actually, it's not fourth surgery. Excuse me. A fourth 100% as well. So basically, the TDIU one is the one that you're talking about. And the thing about the TDIU one, there's specific criteria in that one that person, if they're recovering from a stroke, if they had a limb or something that is making it difficult for them to work, that one, the criteria is different in that particular 100% than the other ones.
Got you. Okay. No, that I appreciate that. I mean, I definitely there was like you say, it was definitely discouraged to go to sick call. He didn't want to go. I had a situation while I was in the military that forced me to go to sick call like every day. Right. So I received some burns while I was in. So so every day I had to go to sick call. So every day I went in, and every day they check. The first thing they check is your blood pressure, temperature, and blood pressure. Right. So my record is full of blood pressure checks. So they like, well, you're going to get at least 0% for hypertension because we've always checked your blood pressure. So, and I was okay with zeros because they were like, well, as long as you got a 0, the VA would treat you. So, and I could be wrong, and that's what I'm saying. So,
no, that's true. And also, if you get worse, and then if you have 0%, that's not the worst thing in the world, because what happens is that if it gets worse, if the situation gets worse, then you can go back in and say, this is where my condition is now. Like if my blood pressure was X and now it's Y, and it's consistently that, and I have medication, you have more of a case to put in for an increase. Because a 0% is not a denial.
Right.
So that's why I tell people, obviously, if you put in claims and you have the evidence and you've done your exams, you want a percentage. However, sometimes if the condition is not, if it's a knee issue and it's not flaring up that day, the examiner might not see it the same way you do.
Right.
So sometimes that's possible and you're at 0%. But in 6 months or a year, it could have gotten worse. Now you have physical therapy. Now you have a different case, a stronger case to stand on to go ahead and put in for an increase.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest fears for a lot of people is the fact that I might lose the little bit that I get. So, and that's where I'm like, go ahead. Say it again.
In most cases, that's not true. Unless you're doing something fraudulent, most of the time that's not true.
Right. Got you. No, I appreciate it. Well, it looked like you're bugging, not bugging, but
no, I wrote them down, man, because she's just, it's like so many things that you hear over the years. People share their experiences with you. So if I can, I just got a couple for you right here. So let's go with what you just said, Jack. It's always discouraging that you get discouraged to go to sick call. I'm not a veteran, but in the public safety realm, same thing. You got to get your physicals. You have to get a baseline, right? Especially a lot of people kind of, I don't know about the military, but they kind of waive their exit physical. I mean, you got to take that. You need it in writing what conditions you have. Am I right? Is that the same with the military?
When you're about to get out, they will do that, and if there's any issues, they're going to basically have you sign for that.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
sometimes those issues might not show up when you get out, but
Exactly.
they again later, and
Oh
they
yeah.
connected to something in the past, and then you could put the claim in based on that. But before you get out, they do give you a physical. That is true.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you know, when you said you were on a civilian ship, so because I was about to ask you like what type of ship were you on? So you said a civilian ship. So were you part of like a fleet, or were you guys just out here doing the communications thing by yourselves, or how did that go?
We were actually part of a battle group.
A battle group. Okay.
Was basically a floating gas station. My ship was called the USNS Leroy Grumman, and it was CAO. So basically, ships would pull up alongside us and get fuel.
Okay.
And
Okay.
we would either go to some ports and get fuel, or a super tanker will come and give us fuel, so that we can get fuel.
Right. The rest of the fleet.
Area that we were in, the area of responsibility that we were in. Yes.
Wow. And then salute your parents, youngest of 11. So what is the age difference between you and the oldest, without giving your age?
18 years between me and Mo.
18 years. So they had built-in babysitters. So so you got disciplined. Not only got advice, but you got disciplined by the whole crew too, huh?
If it was necessary, yeah, because I was a little mouthy little kid. So
no, say it ain't so. Say it ain't so.
Yeah, I definitely I wasn't too bad, but I had my moments. I definitely had my opinions and felt that I should say my opinion.
And what about boys to girls? What was the ratio?
There was five boys and 6 girls. So in other words, for me, I have 5 brothers and 5 sisters.
Right. Okay. So you were the tiebreaker.
Basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep, that was me.
And last but not least, I think you mentioned the places you went. So, all of my Navy friends, they always brag about going over the equator and this thing that happens when you cross the equator. Did you experience that? How does that go?
Mostly East Coast. I was mostly East.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And then how do you keep that uniform so clean? I mean, I can't walk out the house with a white shirt on.
Hey, that was part of our job. When it was dress whites, we had to keep that clean. I was at the Pentagon, and I remember we had a commander at the time. He actually looked like Captain Picard from Star Trek. He had like 3 different uniforms in his office, and when we had inspection, he would be on us like, oh my God. So we didn't have a choice but to stay on point with our uniforms, especially because half the season is dress whites, the other half is dress blues, which is a black uniform.
Right.
So obviously, your blacks you could get more wear and tear out of that. But with whites, we had to spend a lot of money to keep those whites and to get new uniforms on a regular basis. Absolutely.
Now, do you recommend the military, the Navy, particularly for someone coming out of school trying to figure it out, get the education? Just like I don't know what I want to do, but but the military is still a great option. Or I mean, your experiences, do you recommend that? Are you part of the you go talk to ROTC programs or?
Yeah, I would recommend if they're in a position where they can do ROTC and go in as an officer, that's one option.
Okay.
If they do their ASVAB and they're not sure where they want to go, the Navy, I think, in my opinion, we have some of the best schools in the best locations. The Air Force has good schools as well. So it really just depends on what you want to do. Like in this day and age, cyber, AI, those things, that could be a way of getting some of that education through the military. So I tell, because I've been mentoring, I was on the Maryland Business Roundtable for over a decade, and I always tell the kids, find what you love. If you find what you love, the money will come. And try to find it early, because a lot of people go to college and don't even use their degree.
Don't even use the degree, right?
So a lot of debt, and I'm not saying that people shouldn't go to college, because all of my college. But what I'm saying is give yourself options. So you can also go to a trade school. There's options with that. In 2 years, you get yourself a trade, and you could start working at that point. And that way you don't have as much school debt, or if you switch it over to a college later, your debt might be less depending on what school you went to. But I definitely feel education is definitely very critical no matter what path you go. I definitely believe that.
Yeah.
So are you I mean, I live not far from old Walter Reed. Before they took it all up to Bethesda,
Right.
and there was a lot going on about veterans weren't being taken care of. Is that getting better? The facilities getting better? Are they taking better care of veterans? How is that shaping up?
As far as
Just
I
in
know,
general.
it's
Just in
getting better.
general.
Well, it's starting to get better because a lot of it was publicized.
Right.
So I
Okay.
believe that helped to make things better. And it's just very important that veterans understand that they're not alone and there is
Right.
help. There is help. And there are people out there that will help you. So
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
this throwing that out there. So this is almost like a side business for you, or is this it's not your main job, but it is a job that you're kicking off. So how can I get in touch with you, or how can people get in touch with you if they want to use your service or your assistance?
okay, well, I have a website called mbvaclaimsolutions.com, which
Okay.
is, of course, MB Melissa Black. So it's basically a website, and I have all kinds of information on there. People can do an intake form for a free 15-minute consultation to talk to them about their situation. Because, as I was saying before, I personalize everybody's claim process and give them advice, give them outlines, and help to educate them about their situation as they speak to me. But the intake form is one of the first things that a person would fill out, and it gets routed back to me because I'm part of a system that it'll send me a notification, and I'll start working with the person and do the initial intake to make sure I understand what they're looking at and to see if we're a match. Because I do try to make sure that I can partner with people, because I want to be able to help you educate yourself about your situation, because nobody can want something more than you. So that's how I try to work with people from that perspective. I try to make sure I understand where they're coming from and help them, because there are going to be some people, like I said, you have to pull them in because they're not sure if it's worth it to them. So you
Right.
want to work with people where they're at.
Got you. Now, I know you raised your hand and volunteered once, so this is not a volunteer service that you're offering. This is
Absolutely.
it,
Business. It is now a business. Yes.
right. Got you. Okay. Yeah, so I've already raised my hand and volunteered once. So
That's
that's legit. So I know Walt popped off for a second, but let's give me 1 second. Yeah. So, but definitely I'm super interested because I am a veteran, and I know that there was times that even from the burns alone, PTSD is real. It took me months before I would even light a grill for a barbecue because
right.
I was that fire.
Right.
And a lot of people, but we've been told and conditioned, especially when you're in the military, suck it up and drive on, soldier, and all this other stuff. But it's good to have people out there with like you that's willing to help us and be an advocate to show us the way. So I appreciate you helping like that and getting us in the position, so you don't have to worry about me reaching out to you and using the service. But I also want to reach out and let everybody that's out there that is a veteran or have served or know a veteran to use your website. And it's sitting there at the bottom of the screen now. So get your website and reach out to you. Now, when all these people start calling in, are you going to be able to handle all this extra flow that's getting ready to come your way?
Well, I'll do the very best I can. I do have some people that will be willing to step in and help me if it comes to that. But I definitely want to make sure that as I talk to people, I work with them, because it's so important to develop partnerships with people. So I'm excited about the potential. I mean, I have quite a few clients right now. I have helped several people get to 100% as well. I have testimonials on my website as well. So for me, I look forward to serving people. It's just so important. Veterans really need that help. And people like me, we're out there. We're out there to help them.
Right. Now, do you get any pushback from like the VA? Like, what are you doing out there, messing with our money? Or, who asked you? I mean, nobody pushed against you?
No, so far, because basically I'm more of an education person and I give out advice. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a doctor. So I tell people, if you need to talk to an attorney, I can refer you to one.
Mhm.
And if you need a doctor, you need to go to the doctor. I am not your doctor. I can explain about my own personal situations and the things that I went through. But in terms of if a person needs medical, like if they have an issue with sleep apnea and they need to figure out how it's connected, they need to go to the doctor. They need to go to the sleep doctor. Number one, get a sleep test, whether it's sleep apnea or insomnia. They have to do that work. I can partner with you and educate you, but I'm not a doctor and I'm not a lawyer. I'm here to educate and advocate for you to get the benefits that you deserve.
No,
Stop.
that's just what's up.
Have you found that a lot of people just didn't take their first step because it was just so overwhelming? They just felt like, you know, they didn't know where to start.
Yeah,
but that's a pretty good thing.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. That's a pretty good thing that you kind of educate people along the way, because the more you know, the farther you go. I mean, once you know the game, so to speak, and all of these policies are written, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So, I mean, the information is there. You just have to know where to go to find it. And have you also found that a lot of people, not your clients, but on the VA side, may not necessarily be giving out good information sometimes? I mean, some of these denials and they just kind of like, it's easy to say no sometimes and make you fight for it. Is that true in this process?
Yes. As a matter of fact, on one of my claims that I got denied, they actually said in the claim, well, we didn't see migraines. We see headaches in your record, but because you put the word migraine, we denied it. So it turns out I had to request a different process called a higher level review. And the first thing that the person said when he saw my record, he said tension headaches and migraines are basically the same thing.
Same thing.
But there are times that one of the most important things a person does need to do when they get their decision back is to make a decision letter. Because sometimes you'll see something in the decision letter and you're like, that's not true. That's in my record. Or I need to add that. So it's really important to understand why they made the decision that they made. And then that would determine how you either accept what they made or you fight it because you believe you have the evidence or you've given more evidence. So,
and for those who are in the military now, documentation beats conversation any day, right? So document, right?
you
never know.
They have a process called BDD. Within your last 6 months now, people can start getting themselves ready for their claims. That was not the case when we were in. So that has changed because I've already talked to people who were in, and I told them the BDD process is within 6 months. So if you're within 6 months, if you haven't gone, you need to go to the doctor and get everything documented because it is a scary process if you don't have stuff documented.
Right.
If you have stuff documented, it's a lot easier to say on page 362 out of 370, here is my edema or here is my issue, and you're able to justify putting in your claims, and you have a much higher success rate.
Okay.
And look, and that's for everything.
Everything.
Your hearing, you've lost. I can promise you lost some hearing. Your hypertension is definitely, I can't sleep, shift work, working shifts, you're all over the place. Your body is so messed up when you trying to get out. Because like I was, of course I was Army, the only real one that we talk about on here.
Here we go.
No, I'm sorry. But the thing was they saying we only needed 4 hours of sleep. You only need 4. It's like you need 4 hours of sleep a day, and that's all you need.
Right.
Like
that's
what?
People say that's not even normal because
and everything now says you need to have at least 8 hours of sleep just to have a good, healthy lifestyle. But no, not when you're in 4 hours.
Absolutely.
I know Aqua Funk is down there in the chat. And he made a comment. He can't even eat out of a Ziploc bag anymore because it reminds him of a spaghetti MRE. So that got to be a problem.
You have people that have different triggers. I mean, people have different triggers. So, and that's the thing. It's important to try to work with each person to understand what's going on with them.
So. Right. No, and a big thing is, like you said, you got to educate yourself. And I do see, a guest down there saying that people have to read. You have to read, and they do. They make it tough for you to read. It's a contract. You're reading all this, the fine print and this and that. And no one wants to be denied. No one wants to be turned away. It's like I wasted my time. I sat up in this place. All that's going on around me. Everybody in here is sick, ran down, broke up, this and that. And then they tell me no. So it's like, I'm not coming back, but it's like, sometimes it's like if it's worth it, like you said, if you serve, you deserve. I like that. That's gonna be like that's a T-shirt. I mean, but then you probably already got it on your website. I gotta go check your website out. So,
Actually, on my website, I have black has got your back. This is that's
okay.
Black has got your back. So,
right.
man, I have 5 friends. Well, 2 are deceased and 1 is going through kidney cancer, and he already had a kidney removed. They were all down in Camp Lejeune with their water piece. And like you said, when you think about it and you go back and you start thinking about these things, it's like, oh wow, and a couple of them were like, nah, man, it's not even going to be worth it. But then when the other 2 passed, they were like, oh man, we got to jump on this. We gotta just basically get involved. So.
Absolutely.
Hey man, I salute you. Glad Miss Black has your back, and
Miss Black,
hey, Miss Black got your back for sure.
like
So I hate that I felt like I had the referee. I should have had my striped shirt on with you and Jack going back and forth.
I'll tell you, wait a minute. Until you just,
it's all love. It's all
no,
love.
until you just said that, that went right over the top of my head. I didn't even catch Melissa Black. I'm like, Black? You're like, oh yeah.
I'm working with Miss Black. I'm working with him. So
Hey, but look, I want to take a second. I would definitely thanking you, Melissa, for being on the show with us. But I want to recognize we have our newest member of the Iron Sharpening Iron universe, or the Big Jack StoryTime channel. Now that we are monetized, the source is out there in the chat, and I just want to recognize him for being a member and going through the process. So thank you, Source, for being the newest member of the Iron Sharpening Iron universe. And he has been a true supporter, and I just wanted to make sure we recognized him for hitting that membership button and supporting what we're doing, supporting what we do. So he already know we always got that relationship. He got a friend in us for sure. And whatever we can do for him, we're there, and vice versa. Hopefully he'll be here for us. But it's hard to believe we're 1 hour into this show. And I truly, you have knocked it out the park and helped me, because it's the Iron Sharpening Iron Show, and I feel so much stronger and more motivated to get myself out there and put my stuff, I don't say out in the street, but it's just the fact that, for a lot of people, and it's a pride thing. You've served with honor, you worked hard to do it, and it's almost like I'm going back and I'm like scheming or trying to get around or whatever. But you said it, you served, you deserved. I mean, and it ain't that you're not hurt. I don't care. I mean, just
the thing about it is people don't have to lie. All you have to do is explain your worst day with your situation, because there's going to be days where, like, if you have headaches, sometimes you literally have to sit in the dark, and you have to be honest about that. And when you go and have your exam, you are vulnerable. You tell them what is going on with you. Now, sometimes it's a hit or miss, but it's definitely a miss if you don't do it at all.
Oh, 100%.
You might as well. And like I said, that's part of what I do with people, because I have people that are resistant sometimes. And I said, look, if you legitimately had things happen to you, if they either fix it or they help you, and the help is available, but you have to ask, and then you just work the process, and that's where the education and the advocacy for my part comes in.
Right. No. You continually serving. So, even though your mission is over and you're no longer wearing the uniform that I don't know if you're wearing a uniform, but you're not wearing the uniform they issued you.
Right.
You're still out there serving, and that right there that's the type of person that's it's ingrained. So I was going to ask you this about your siblings, because they have to look at you different, even though you're the baby girl. But it's like the baby girl is a veteran and college educated and out there serving. So do you go back in the house sometimes and you're sitting at the top and they all looking at you, or how does that work?
No, I'm the youngest. No.
It's still the same.
Because all of my siblings are educated, so that part they all have that. I'm a veteran, so that's different. But
right.
But my family is pretty amazing. I mean, I miss my mom. She's been passed now for 3.5 years, and I mean, she's amazing. And my sisters and brothers, like I said, if it wasn't for my mother and my 10 brothers and sisters, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I thank God for being a part of our family, definitely. without a doubt.
So you touched on this, but you didn't elaborate. So tell me about these spade games in the black household. I know they were ridiculous. I know they were a lot of fun. You talked about playing spades, so you were ready for service. When you got to the military, you were probably one of the better spades players there. I would imagine.
Also, my high school, and I learned backgammon as well. And then, especially
Okay.
in high school, in my high school in Brooklyn Tech. Oh yeah, that was a religious thing. Shout out to Brooklyn Tech. But we definitely played them games and was on it. It's like, oh, this Boston right here, you got to get up. Damn, get up.
She know Boston. She know Boston.
Right, that's right. I'm a New Yorker, so I don't like Boston anyway. So that's why get up.
I'm gonna change the name just because I don't even want to say Boston.
I don't even want to say
it. Either way, you get up.
But you know what it is. But you know what it is.
Yeah. You know what you're about to get.
Oh, you know what you finna do. That's right. Oh man, that's fun.
Melissa, this is has been a treat, and we definitely thank you. So look, I'm gonna tell you this right now. We have a whole lot of spinoff shows that you're going to be invited to come back on because I know you got some other things to throw our way. You know, we got the ladies' diary, we got the coach's corner.
Okay.
We got the battle of the sexes. So we got all kinds of different spinoffs that your wisdom, expertise, and your heart will be definitely welcome to be on. And we're definitely going to be sharing your link to your website and push it as much as we can so people, especially veterans, will know that there's someone out there that's going to help them, you know, at least point them in the right direction to get the help they need so that they can get what they deserve because they serve. So I'm in love with that right now. I just like that. So yeah, so 100%. So for you out there that's listening, we thank you for tuning in today and hanging out with us on the Iron Sharpening Iron Show. And if you didn't hear it, now you're going to hear it again. Black got your back, and she got your back. So if you're a veteran out there and you're not even sure if you can get help, and you're not even sure if you need the help, definitely reach out to Melissa Black, and we got her links down in the chat, and we'll make sure we put it in the description so that she can help you, at least point you in the right direction to see if you need the help. So, and that's all we can do, and that's all anybody can do. So I see Rodney Black in the chat. So I want to see it.
That's my brother.
Oh yeah, your brother. All right. So what's up, brother? What's up, brother Black out there? So he said excellent interview. So yeah, 100%.
Very fortunate. Very fortunate, very supportive.
Oh yeah, that's what's up then. So what's up, brother Rodney Black? Thank you. He said excellent interview. So we thank you.
Right.
So Melissa, we're gonna ask you to please hang back when we close this show out. We'd like to talk to you a little bit more after the show. And for everyone out there, we thank you again for hanging with us. We're getting close to the end of the month. We got some wonderful shows coming up. But then we know we got the Battle of the Sexes, the We Be Jamming Live, the Gentleman's Journal, and the newest show coming out Sunday at 5 p.m. So it's 5 p.m. Eastern time. I think it's 2 p.m. on Mountain Standard Time. But that is going to be the Voices of Resilience. So, and that's Mama Lion. So definitely make sure you tune in and start putting that notification bell so you can see when these new shows are coming out, because the Iron Sharpening Iron universe is blowing up. And I'm so happy for my team. I'm so happy for you, because you're getting ready to get rewarded with all kinds of blessings and knowledge and understanding. So with all that being said, we thank you for hanging out with us. We ask you to have a great rest of your week. And then until we see you next time, stay sharp, and we talk to you later. Melissa, thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you so much. Thank you.